Hello guys, today I will be talking about two advertising companies, InterPublic Group and Omnicon Group. Let's begin this video by discussing their respective earnings and then their respective share prices. According to Yahoo Finance, InterPublic Group bet its fourth quarterly earning from last year. It bet its first, second, and then third quarterly earning for this year. And here we can see that the estimate for their fourth quarterly earning this year is greater than the estimate for its fourth quarterly earning from last year. In terms of share price, the company at the beginning of the pandemic was at 22.7 and it reached a peak of 37.45. Omnicon Group bet its fourth quarterly earning from last year, and just like InterPublic Group, we can see that they bet their first, second, and third quarterly earning from this year, and the estimate for their fourth quarterly earning this year is greater than the estimate for the fourth quarterly earning last year. In terms of the share price, the company started at 75.31 at the beginning of the pandemic, and they reached a peak of 84.88. Now let us discuss their respective financial statements. And we will begin this discussion with IPG, InterPublic Group. From their financial statement, we can see that the company did not experience significant growth in revenue during this time period. In 2020, their revenue was $10,221 million, and in 2022, it was $10,240 million. This is a very, very small rise in revenue. Hopefully the company will manage to increase their revenue more significantly in the coming years. Income rose from $673 million in 2020 to $972 million in 2022. This is a higher rise in income than in revenue, which is good. However, income is still too low compared to the company's revenue. The company needs to reduce their expenses in order to increase their income to an acceptable level. Lastly, I'd like to talk about their accounts payable and accounts receivable. Although accounts payable is larger than accounts receivable, their accounts receivable is still too large. I'd like to see a fall in accounts receivable in order to increase the company's stability and reduce their risk. Aside from that, that's all I have to say about IPG. Their financial statement is quite good, although they didn't experience much growth during this time period. Hopefully in their next financial statements in the future. Hopefully they will manage to increase their revenue and their income, and therefore increase their profitability. Moving on, let's now talk about Omnicon. Here again, the company did not experience much growth in revenue. In fact, revenue did fall during this time period. It fell from 14,953 million to 14,289 million in 2022. Their income is much higher than IPG. Their income rose from 1,435 million in 2020 to 1,507 million in 2022. Compared to their revenue, retained income is still too small. Hopefully in the future the company manages to increase their income, and hopefully they manage to increase their revenue. The last thing I have to say about this company is that their accounts receivable accounts payable ratio is very good. Accounts payable rose from 11,768 million in 2020 to 13,541 million in 2022. On the other hand, accounts receivable in 2020 was at 7,829 million, and this rose to 9,673 million in 2022. Just like IPG, I'd like to see a fall in accounts receivable. Their accounts payable is larger than accounts receivable. That being said, accounts receivable is still too large for this company. It does represent a risk for the company, and I would like to see a reduction in this risk. That's all I have to say about this company. Let us now move on to the rating table. Both companies have a very good revenue and income. In both cases, their equity and income ratios are quite good. That being said, the companies have not moved anywhere. Their revenue has stayed relatively the same. Their income has stayed relatively the same. And unfortunately, their investment activities are quite low. I'd like to see an increase in profitability for both companies. If they manage to increase their profitability, if they prove that they can increase their revenue, then I would put both of them in the buy section. However, for now, I'm going to place them in the OK section. My main concern with both of these companies is that they have a lot of competition. Nowadays, companies can bypass these advertisement companies in order to advertise their product. For example, in the mobile industry, in order to, for example, in order to advertise a product on an iPhone, all a company needs is permission from Apple. They don't need to interact with InterPublic Group or Omnicon MediaGroup in order to advertise their product on an iPhone. What this means is that they essentially bypass them, and these two companies do not receive any revenue. The same goes for YouTube. YouTube is owned by Alphabet. All the company needs is permission from Alphabet in order to advertise their product. And here again, they are bypassing IPG. They are bypassing Omnicron. And as a result, and here again, both companies do not receive any revenue. InterPublic Group and Omnicron need to show that they can compete with this competition, that they can increase their profitability and the amounts they take up in the market. And if they prove that, then I would place them in the buy section. However, for now I would not buy these companies. That is all I have to say about InterPublic Group and Omnicron Media Group. Both companies' financial statements are okay. Nonetheless, I would not consider buying these two companies. They need to prove that they are going to be profitable in the future. In any case, in the next video, I'll be talking about the chip industry again. I'll be talking about Microchip, Broadcom, Corvo, and Micron technology companies. Unfortunately, I have not yet received a reply from L'Oreal. If I do, I will produce a video about them. That is all I have to say. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and subscribe. And see you in the next video.